Hi, my name is Chuck Sexton, and I'll be your guide this evening on our virtual event. Welcome to everyone. Tonight we're here to honor my friend Greg Lasley as a conservation hero. You'll get to hear about Greg's wonderful life, hear many stories from those who knew and loved Greg, and learn about all the ways that he inspired those around him to enjoy birds, dragonflies, and the entire breadth of the natural world. So now, let's get comfortable, grab your cookies and your cheese plate, and let's start the show. Thanks for being with us here.
My name is Eric Stager, the board president of Travis Audubon.
And I'm Kevin Anderson, the coordinator of Austin Waters Center for Environmental Research at Hornsby Bend. And we're here at Hornsby Bend this morning to honor Greg's conservation legacy because Hornsby Bend was one of Greg's favorite places to chase birds and bugs and flowers. And all those photos that he took over the years line our hallways and our auditorium. So come visit Hornsby Bend and chase birds and bugs, but also come see Greg's artwork in our building every time you come.
Greg Lasley passed away on January 30th, 2021 after accepting this award. Even though he isn't physically with us today, we're honored to be in community to reflect on all the ways Greg inspired naturalists around the world. So let's raise a glass to Greg, whose legacy as a naturalist, photographer, mentor, and friend will live on through us and everyone he touched, as well as to the mission of Travis Audubon. Here's to you, Greg. Our program today is full of inspirational moments and stories, and we hope you enjoy every one. But I'd like to start off by saying thank you. Thank you to our sponsors, whose generosity is such a great support to us. Thank you to our members and donors, without whom we could not do this important work. And thank you to each and every one of you who have chosen to spend this time with us. This is Travis Audubon's biggest fundraiser of the year, and you can donate in Greg's honor by clicking on the donate button. And now I'm honored to introduce our first guest, one of the many conservation legends we'll hear from today. He's an entrepreneur, a bird enthusiast, the namesake and first recipient of our Conservation Award, and a champion of mentorship through birding. Here's our friend and inspiration, Victor Emanuel.
Well, here we are again, everyone. We'd still hope to gather in person to celebrate my good friend Greg Lasley tonight, but the Delta variant didn't want to cooperate. I am so glad you chose to be with us online to celebrate. You'll get to hear from me and many others throughout the program about why we love Greg and how much we miss him. But also to especially thank you for being here to both celebrate Greg's life and to celebrate the ways that nature and birds continue to be a healing force during this pandemic. It is up to us to repay birds and nature for all they provide. We can show our gratitude by supporting Travis Audubon tonight. Their work is more important than ever, and Greg Lasley was a friend and member of TAS for 40 years. He was a shining example of the incredible impact we can have in their community and around the world.
Well, welcome everyone to Little Weberville Park.
I so appreciate the work that Travis Audubon has done during COVID to provide new ways to experience the joy of birds virtually. So let's come together to support Travis Audubon's work tonight, and also to thank Travis Audubon for choosing to honor Greg, such a worthy and wonderful force for conservation. Whenever you watch birds in your backyard or take photos of them, I hope you'll think of Greg and also the good work It comes when we all work together to inspire conservation through birding. Thanks again.
Hi, I'm John Abbott. I'm Chief Curator and Director of Research and Collections for the University of Alabama.
And I'm Kendra Abbott. I am the Research and Outreach Coordinator for the Alabama Museum of Natural History.
I first met Greg in 2000 when he reached out to me for help in identifying some dragonflies that he'd photographed for the Valley Land Fund contest that he and Larry Ditto went on to win that year. He sent me a couple of emails and a couple of pictures, and of course I was very impressed with his photos, and he wanted to learn more about dragonflies. I remember him very quickly inviting me out to one of his old stomping grounds, Hornsby Bend, to go look at dragonflies and photograph them. And he came over to my house to pick me up one morning and had a lens that he wanted me to try out. Ended up letting me borrow that lens for, I think, a couple of months, actually, as I played around with learning how to photograph dragonflies in the way that he did. And of course, my photography dramatically improved as a result.
And if you know Greg, that's probably a story that is very similar to the one you have with him. He's always very generous with both his, camera gear and his knowledge and sharing that with other people.
Yeah, we ended up taking many trips all around Texas, the U.S., and even internationally, looking at dragonflies and wildlife together, and I'll always cherish those. But he quickly got into wanting to contribute to dragonflies or odonatology more and more. And so he wanted to learn how to collect and curate dragonflies. And I'll never forget the first couple of times that he was sticking his hand in a net to grab out a dragonfly. This big, tough cop was scared. He was afraid to grab a dragonfly, yet he wouldn't hesitate to pick up a rattlesnake. He quickly learned about them, got over that, and ended up collecting some 5,000 specimens of dragonflies and damselflies, contributing to the field in big ways.
And he was appalled that there were some counties in Texas that had no dragonfly records. So he asked me to make a map of Texas and highlight the ones that had 0 records. So him and Cheryl traveled throughout the Panhandle, getting at least one, if not several dragonflies all throughout the counties in the Panhandle.
When I think about Greg's legacy, for me, it's how many relationships he built and people he impacted over his lifetime. I knew Greg had lots of friends. I was very fortunate to meet many of them. Many of them have now become good friends of ours. But it was amazing to us just how many people he impacted. When you read blogs online and talk to people, it's just incredible how many people he reached out to and wanted to share his knowledge with and wanted to help. And for me, I think that is going to be his lingering legacy, that we still have those relationships that he forged for us, and those great friends now that we enjoy going out and exploring nature with. So now it is our honor to introduce a special video made in recognition of Greg and his lifetime of accomplishments and celebrates his designation as this year's Victor Emanuel Conservation Hero. We'd like to thank Lydia Saldana, Curtis Craven, and their team, as well as the special guests who participated. We hope you enjoy this tribute to our dear friend Greg. We love you and miss you, Greg.
I end up driving all kind of weird ways out here, backwards, forwards. He's about a 10-inch long bird, but he's just very nicely framed in good light. Really nice reflection on him in the water. They're really neat looking birds. What else is down here?
I don't have any formal biological training. I'm a field observer and a photographer. I just help provide the information from what I see from 40 plus years of tromping around Texas. what little I can help with, I see my role as providing the information and letting others figure it out, because I'm not a biologist and I'm not a scientist.
I've been involved with nature and wildlife since I was a Boy Scout. I've got the Bird Study Merit Badge when I was 12 years old.
I probably have 100,000 images of wildlife, but I can look at an image. I may find one from 10 years ago and I can look at it and I remember every detail about taking it and where I was and who I was with. And it brings back memories, kind of a travel log of what you've done.
My profession was in law enforcement, so I spent 25 years as a law enforcement officer, but I went out on bird watching trips. I had to stay in the closet for a long time. I didn't let people know I was out birding, but you have to maintain a persona, you see.
There's a small bird called a ruby-crowned kinglet that only winters in Texas, but they breed in the conifer forest of Canada. One year in October, we caught a ruby-crowned kinglet in a net. And so we banded this ruby-crowned kinglet and released it. The following year, we caught a ruby-crowned kinglet, and here was old number 6347 that we'd banded a year earlier. Now this bird that weighs just a few grams had flown all the way to the conifer forest of Canada, had nested, and had flown back. This little tiny bird that you can't even feel the weight in your hand had not only found Texas without a map, had not only found Hayes County, Texas, had not only found this property, but found the same little grove of trees where he'd been caught a year earlier. We caught that bird for 7 years in a row, and I've always thought that was kind of magical.
Being here brings back so many memories of all the times we were here with Greg. I mean, Greg probably came out here almost once a week or more. He loved the dragonflies here, particularly over on Platte Lane, but everywhere.
Every time I see a dragonfly, I think of Greg.
What young man would take his girlfriend on the first date to go look for snakes? Greg Lasley was one of the most avid naturalists I ever met, one of the most focused on detail, and that made him one of the best photographers of nature in Austin.
Greg was very active on iNaturalist.
It's a massive database where the public can take photos, submit them into the database, and experts will come on and identify or confirm what they saw. And Greg was prolific in that way.
By the end of his life, he had helped something on the order of 40,000 different people on iNaturalist and had offered an identification on something nearing 500,000 observations.
And Greg spent countless hours, thousands of hours identifying things for these people. He was making friends all over the world.
Greg had so many slides. I was the beneficiary of his throwaways. His throwaway slides were better than anybody else's best slides.
Half are going to the high school and half to UT's art department.
He just completely opened my eyes to another whole beautiful world. And I'm so grateful for that.
If I could say anything to people is you have to set aside places for nature or man just overwhelms. And I think I've seen that so often in my life from the time I was a kid until now. It's drastic, and you don't realize it at the day you're looking at it, but you sure do when you have a perspective of years.
Hi, my name is Nicole Netherton, and I'm the Executive Director of Travis Audubon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we honor our friend Greg Lasley. Now, if you're like me, you've spent an awful lot of time birding here over the past 18 months in your own backyard. We at Travis Audubon have found the pandemic to be a time of silver linings, where we've experienced both challenges and opportunities for our organization. And it's been your support that's helped get us through. Out of necessity, we launched virtual programming, which has had the silver lining of allowing more people than ever before to participate in our classes and speaker series. We were also able to partner with the Ann Richards School to pilot a virtual Young Women in Conservation program, where junior high and high school students learn about conservation, but also consider future career paths that they might want to pursue. We're planning a hybrid program for this year. And finally, more people than ever before are finding the joys of birding during COVID. Overall, our membership has increased by almost 20%. We're working hard to engage these new birders and hope you'll invite your friends and loved ones to join us as well, especially since we hope that in-person programming can resume sometime soon. We know we have work to do in the coming year, but with your help, we know we can succeed. So here is your chance to help us fulfill our mission to conserve native birds and their habitat. Tonight's event is Travis Audubon's biggest fundraiser of the year, and we have set a goal of $110,000, which is no small feat. Our generous sponsors and some early donors have already brought in $65,000, which is a huge success already. With your gifts and the generous matches you'll hear about next, I know we can reach our goal. Thank you so much for your generosity, whether you've given for our Fund a Need or bid in our fabulous silent auction, which will be open until tomorrow evening. Your support is how we do our important work. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Gail Stallings, our auctioneer extraordinaire, who has helped us for the past 12 years to make this fundraiser a huge success. Thanks for everything, Gail, and take it away.
Thank you, Nicole. Good evening, friends. I am so happy to be with you as your fundraising host, and I'm looking forward to that day when we can all be together in person. I'm excited to join you for the 12th year. Yes, 12 years. And because I'm a member of Travis Audubon, take it from me, this is such a great cause to support. I'd like you to join me in celebrating birds, their habitat, and our 2021 conservation hero, Greg Lasley. Whether you're watching on your mobile device or computer, you can donate from either one. To make a donation, tap the donate button on your screen. You can select a level or choose your own donation amount, whatever is meaningful to you. For more than 40 years, Greg Lasley was a member and friend of Travis Audubon. Greg epitomized so many parts of the mission of Travis Audubon, and we've taken cues from his life and legacy to inspire the levels of support during our virtual paddle race. Now is your opportunity to hit that donate button and make a real difference for wildlife. All gifts that you make today are 100% tax deductible and will go towards the operations and programming of Travis Audubon. Will you help Travis Audubon do its important work to protect birds and restore the places where they can thrive? We can't do this without you, so we want to thank you so much for your continued support. So let's get started with our Raise the Paddle, folks. What do you say? Each of these levels, from $2,000 to $100, represent the roles that Greg played and that we can play in supporting conservation. Inspired by Greg, we are explorers, volunteers, storytellers, mentors, and friends. This is your chance to make an impact and give from the heart. Watch the chat box to see those donations coming in. They are rolling in fast already, and we are so grateful to you, but keep them coming. And while you're entering those donations, I want to tell you about how your gift will help Travis Audubon's programs. With a gift of $2,000, you can explore the diversity and richness of Central Texas bird life. While Greg helped birders explore the world through his years as a guide with Victor Emanuel Nature Tours, you can explore places closer to home, like our backyards and local parks and wildlife sanctuaries, to experience the joy that birds bring. Seeing birds in the wild and at home helps inspire efforts to save them. For birds like the chimney swift and the endangered golden cheek warbler, your gift helps them thrive. A huge thank you to Carol Ray for saying yes to a gift at $2,000. Thank you, Carol. And you can feel free to join her with your gift at $2,000. We appreciate you all so much, and I bet that felt so good to give. So go ahead and hit that donate button, because I know that we all want Texans 100 years from now to see and hear these birds. There are so many donations coming in right now at all different levels, and this is a great reminder that we can't do this alone, but we can do this together. Moving on to the other ways you can help. Every dollar makes a difference. At the $1,000 level, you can help support our volunteers. Travis Audubon volunteers donate more than 5,500 hours every year to lead field trips, improve and maintain habitat, run our hardworking committees, and build features at our sanctuaries like a bird blind and dripper planning for Blair Woods. Greg famously volunteered his time and knowledge as a mentor and citizen scientist. Won't you join us with your gifts of time, talent, and treasure? Thank you, Bamberger Foundation, for your gift of $1,000. It takes all of us to inspire conservation in our community. Will you say yes and join us, arm in arm, to throw your support behind our volunteers who make this work possible? Come on now, let's break all the goals and then reach the dream goals. Travis Audubon is an engine that has been run by volunteers for almost 70 years. Yes, 70 years. There's no limit to what we can achieve with your powerhouse support. For all those gifts coming in at $1,000, thank you for being part of all the work we do through the power of our volunteers. Here's another way you can help: by showing your support as a storyteller. Greg told stories through his photography, and we all have a story to tell. Travis Audubon is sharing the complex story of Blair Woods by uncovering and reflecting on its history and better serving our East Austin neighbors.
You've been keeping an eBird list, right?
I have.
Your gift of $500 will allow Travis Audubon to continue to tell our conservation story both virtually and through outreach to new members. Thank you, Dana Kirkendall and Mark Wilson, for your gift of $500. We appreciate you so much, and this pandemic has also played a part in our story. Interest in birding has skyrocketed, and our membership has grown by 20%. That's 20% over the past 2 years. From yard signs in support of Lights Out Austin, to posting about the magic of Purple Martin parties on social media, we are sharing stories about what birds and nature mean to us all. Thank you, Brenda and Cliff Ladd, for your gift of $500. And here's another story we're telling. Last year, Travis Audubon piloted the virtual Young Women in Conservation program with the Ann Richards School. These young women are learning about conservation, and guess what? They are becoming birders. Their inspiring birdathon team even won our Rookie of the Year award. So go ahead and click that donate button for $500. Moving to the $250 level, I am so excited to tell you about this very special incentive this year. It's what you've been waiting for, another match and a patch. In honor of Greg's life and legacy, we have a generous match of $10,000 provided by an anonymous Travis Audubon member and our friends at the Winkler Family Foundation. Yes, make some virtual noise. That was $10,000. And this generous match will apply for all gifts at the $250 level and above. Plus, there's still more. Any donations at $250 or higher will also receive this stunning limited edition commemorative patch that features some of the organisms that Greg famously photographed: a male painted bunting and a flame skimmer, both perched on a shin oak branch. This artwork was inspired by Georgianne Kyle's beautiful drawings from Greg's photos, which you can find in our silent auction. Let's all be inspired to live like Lasley and invest generously in birds and wildlife. All right, Celeste Treadway was inspired, and you've got a match and a patch. But let me ask you, who was your Greg Lasley? Who pointed out your first painted bunting or flame skimmer? You can be such a mentor for anyone newly interested in birds. We know that birding has been such a solace for so many of us during the pandemic. What better way to remind ourselves of the joys of nature and of mentorship than to live like Lasley to the fullest? Thank you, Lisa Gonzalez, for your $250 donation. So go ahead, stretch a little bit more and hit that donate button for $250 for the match and patch with this beautiful painted bunting artwork. Thank you, Flo Rice, for your gift of $250. And while the world feels most uncertain, the one thing is certain: your gift of $250 will be doubled, and Travis Audubon will continue to be your voice for conservation, education, and advocacy. Thank you, Scott McCown and Maura Powers, for your gift of $250. I see so many gifts coming in right now for this match and patch, and we can't wait to see you sporting those patches out at the Hornsby Bend Ponds. Even though I'm about out of time, you still have time to make a difference at the $100 level. We believe that everyone belongs in nature, and we are working hard to make our programs and sanctuaries welcoming to all. From accessible trails to free membership scholarships, we want to be an open and inclusive organization that serves the needs of our neighbors as well as wildlife. Greg invited everyone into his love of nature. Won't you be a part of ours? Now's the time to hit the button at $100. You are standing up for birds, helping Travis Audubon create new programming, while our hardworking staff is ensuring that we'll be here for another 70 years. We can't do our work without you. And I see you, Rich Kostecki. Thank you so much. Every gift matters. Thank you, David and Wendy Todd. You help us inspire conservation through birding. Thank you so much for all of these donations. This is truly an amazing way to show your support. No gift is too large or too small. If there's any number I didn't call out, you can enter any amount and click the donate button. So let's keep these gifts rolling in. Michael Sims, thank you so much for your gift. On behalf of everyone at Travis Audubon, thank you so much for your generosity. It's been my pleasure to be a part of the Victor Emanuel Conservation Awards, and I look forward to seeing you next year.
Wow, thank you so much, Gail. And thanks for each of you for donating to support Travis Audubon's annual programs. It's pretty easy for those of us in Austin to understand the impact Greg had in Central Texas, but we know his impact reached far beyond our little corner of the natural world, really spanning the globe. This next collection features tributes from just a few of the many, many people Greg has touched through his photography, his connection with the iNaturalist community, through Victor Emanuel nature tours, and beyond. Please enjoy these stories from some of his dear friends, accompanied by Greg's award-winning photography.
Hi friends of Greg Lasley, I'm Larry Ditto.
Hello, my name is Sam Kieschnick.
I'm Laura Southwick.
We're Jim and Lynn Weber, and we were lucky enough to know Greg for about 25 years.
And I want to share a few memories of Greg Lasley with you.
I first met Becky and Greg at a campsite outside, I think it was Topeka, Kansas, the summer of '73. I was living in Austin and told them it was a great place to be and suggested they should move there. They did.
We met on Bolivar Flats, standing side by side looking at a black brant perched along the beach. And from that moment on, just a chance meeting, we remained good friends.
Greg and I shot together in a couple of photo contests down here in South Texas many years ago, and that's where I met Greg.
One of our earliest personal experiences with Greg was when he had invited us over to his house for dinner with his lovely and amazing wife Cheryl, so that he could explain to us a little bit how he was cataloging his many, many thousands of photos in Lightroom.
Poor Greg. Some 20,000 slides, another 20,000 digital images going back 3 decades. I don't have any favorites, he would say. You know, he did have some favorites, but they weren't necessarily the actual photograph he had taken. Greg had a memory attached to each image, and I think it was the encounter, the sort of special experience in nature that guided his selection most of all.
What impressed me the most about Greg was his passion for nature.
He knew more about natural history and biology than most of us trained biologists.
It certainly made a difference for the Texas birding community with not only some of his efforts on TBRC and North American birds, but also just his day-to-day helping out with others, just sharing his knowledge and his photos of birds.
We took a trip together to San Antonio. I saw a hawk fly by the car, so I said, "Hey Greg, what kind of hawk is that?" Well, as you can guess, for the next 20 minutes, Greg told me all about the hawk, where it lives, where it nests, wintertime, summertime, what it eats, why it's not usually in our part of the state, why it was migrating now because of its food supply had shifted to the east, what type of nest it has, etc., etc.
Greg took us on night drives to look for snakes. He could ID all the snakes we saw. We also ID'd toads, mice, deer, rabbits, anything that was moving.
In searching the web for photos of Ross's gulls, I stumbled onto some of Greg's photos he had taken. In a caption, Greg said that he hoped to photograph it again someday. That was my cue to contact him and invite him to join me on my crazy adventure. He said he would think about it, but by the next day, he agreed to go with me. And it remains a memory I will never forget.
I was brand new to dragonflies, and I saw one, and I think I even had the audacity to ask Greg, "Hey, have you seen this kind of dragonfly before?" And it was a blue dasher, which if you don't know dragonflies, blue dashers are super, super common. And he just smiled and said, yeah, I've seen that kind before, and he told me about it. And there was another dragonfly not far away called the comet darner, and I was still focused on this blue dasher. And he said, "Sam, you're spending time with a sparrow when there's a bald eagle over here."
I got a great glimpse into the wonderful mind of Greg and to his love of nature.
Greg was not a biologist, he was not a botanist, but he was a naturalist in the purest sense.
But if anybody needed to leave a lasting legacy of his life as a photographer and a naturalist, it was Greg.
But we think his greatest conservation legacy remains to be all the people he inspired to know it, to understand it, and to protect it.
My takeaway from my time with Greg is that you learn that you don't have to be a professionally trained biologist or ornithologist to make a difference in the field of biology or ornithology. If you have a strong enough passion and are willing to give back and put in some hard work, you can make a real big difference.
I've got fond memories of Greg. And every time I see a dragonfly, I think of Greg. And I see a dragonfly almost every day. So I am eternally grateful for Greg.
I miss you, my friend.
I sure miss you, Greg.
We'll miss you, Greg.
Greg was like a brother, and I just can't say enough good things about him, but he was a fine fellow, and I wish he was here with us.
I pray for the repose of his soul. I pray for his family. And I'm positive that the name Greg Lasley will be remembered for decades through the contributions he made to conservation, through his photography and his love of nature.
Mary Oliver, in her poem Sometimes, gives us these instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. We knew tonight would be a special night, not only because of your generosity, but because of all the ways we got to celebrate our friend Greg. And personally, I'm taking Mary Oliver's instructions to heart, not only because Greg lived that way, sharing his knowledge and capturing the beauty of the natural world for all of us, but because it is a way to be healed by nature in hard times. And we all need more of that these days. Thank you to everyone for sharing this evening with us. Let's all resolve to continuing conservation work in Greg's honor, knowing he will always be a part of Travis Audubon and a part of each of us. Now, we can't let you go without one more surprise. We got together with our friends Chuck and Mary Kay Sexton and previous Victor Emanuel Conservation Award honorees Georgianne and Paul Kyle to bring you a song with a special Lasley twist. As we end this evening, we invite you to join Chucker, Paul, and Mary for a special rendition of What a Wonderful Life.
When I look up and see dragonflies and watch birds in the air, I remember how much Greg really enjoyed photographing all of those. What a wonderful life. I see dragonflies, birds in the sky. Greg photographed them for you and I think to myself, what a wonderful life. I see trips abroad, teaching us all of nature's wonders, both great and small, and I think to myself, what a wonderful life. A dedicated teacher, world traveler and guide. He always shared his talents with every passerby. His contributions go far and wide. His love of nature never did hide. I see people smiling with gratitude. Greg taught him more than he ever knew, and I think to myself, what a wonderful life. And I think to myself, what a wonderful life.
Thank you.
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 Thank you for supporting Travis Audubon.